Welcome, everybody. That's right, folks. I have a podcast. Baruch Hashem. I mean, really, what would the world be without another podcast? My podcast, right? How could people function, continue to live in a society without another podcast? I don't know. But this is Stars of David. I'm Elon Gold. This is my sidekick, the Robin to my Howard, if you will. Oh, well, this is very exciting, Robin. The Ed to my Johnny. Okay. I think we just lost the Gen Z audience who has no idea what I'm doing. This is Eli Leonard, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Say hi to Eli. How are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Eli Leonard, 5'8", 165 about. Sometimes...
People don't want to know your stats.
Okay.
Yeah. But Eli is, you know what Eli is? I'm here to make you laugh. Eli's here to make me laugh because he does every day. You're like my comedy wife in a way. And you know what, Eli, I love about you? You know what I love about you?
No.
The hair. And Eli and I are here to answer the question, why is this podcast different from all other podcasts? Eli, do you know the answer?
No, to me, it seems very similar to most other podcasts.
You know, the two mics and the two guys in the studio and the
Especially
talking.
the two guys part. I mean,
Right.
It's got to be two guys sort of
Right.
talking about stuff.
Right.
Anything, really.
Except this podcast will be unabashedly Jewish. It'll be filled with Jewish pride, Jewish humor, our culture, our comedy, our kvetching. We're going to kvetch. We're actually going to have a CNA instead of a Q&A. We're going to do complaints and answers where you, the viewers, will send in your complaints and we will answer them. Maybe not in a helpful way, but we're going to try to help people.
Yeah, of course.
And by the way, a lot of people are wondering how we met. How do we know each other? We met on Curb Your Enthusiasm. On my birthday, years ago, I woke up and I said, you know what I want for my birthday? Larry David. 10 minutes of LD. That's what I want. And my wife said, well, you're nuts because you're not going to get it. And I said, no, I'm going there. I'm going to go to his office. She goes, don't do it. You're going to get arrested. You're going to get locked up. And I said, I don't care. I need my 10 minutes of LD. And I went there and I got about 20 with him. And it's a long story about how I actually got in and how I was received. But all I know is I went back a year later on my birthday and they weren't there. They were in New York. And then Jeff Schaefer, the showrunner, and Larry David. And then year 3, I go back again. No one there. And I go, I can't wait another year. I've waited 2 years. I can't wait another year. And I sat in the chair outside of his office and just said, I'll wait. Days. I will wait. I will wait. And then this guy walks right past me, clocks me like this, does one of those, like, I know that guy. And I'm not famous enough to where I don't appreciate a recognition. I recognize a recognition. If someone recognized me, I recognize them recognizing me. I go, oh my God, I'm being recognized. Because it's still exciting to me, because I'm not really that well known. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, no, you tell me a lot about that.
Well, I think that's humble. I think if I said how famous I am, I think that would be a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think you were going for an insult there and you failed miserably.
No, I mean, I could make it into an insult
No,
very
don't.
easily.
Please don't.
Okay.
So anyway, he recognizes me and I go, do you know me? How do you? And he goes, oh, yeah. What'd you say to me?
I saw your set on Corded.
Yeah. And I went, no,
bit-
you said, I'm actually a fan of your comedy. And I said, no, you're not, because so few people are. I go, really? Prove it. And you start quoting a set that you saw on James Corden's show that I did a month before.
Yeah, showed up in the YouTube algorithm. Elon Gold, brisket, space, brisket, wife. It's a really great joke.
Thank you.
Of course, I forgot every word of it at this point.
Right.
But I loved it at the time. And I
Right.
still love it. I opened for you and I don't know your jokes.
Anyway, so I say to Eli, I go, so where are they? And they're on a location scout. And I said, could you text me when they're back? Because it could be hours. So I went home and you were kind enough. They don't know this to this day.
Yes.
That you were sort of my now Mossad spy for Larry David, telling me when they're coming back.
Yeah.
And if you were still working for them, I don't think you'd be working for them anymore after.
Right.
After
But,
this is divulged.
Yeah. But I don't think this will get to them.
No one's going to hear this.
Nobody is. Well,
Right.
yeah. And definitely no one at Curb will ever hear this. And Curb's done.
And they're done.
They're done. They're really
Right.
done this time.
Right. You're saying that someone might not hear this and then even tell LD that this happened?
Someone might try, but no one's going to get a hold of him.
But anyway, it's true. You were very nice to me. And right away, you texted me. I went back, had the best time. And because of that meeting, and I was so on and funny in that meeting, that he gave me a spot on the show, which is so cool. So thank you for that. And by the way, that day was my birthday. And that night, it was Friday night, I said, come for Shabbos dinner. It's my birthday, you know?
Yeah, and I thought that was crazy
Because
it's your birthday and you're inviting a stranger. Like, why would you do that?
that's what Shabbat's all about. It's
yeah, but
about
I didn't know you at the
opening
time.
up your table and home for strangers. Love the stranger. Does the
Okay.
Torah not teach us that? To love thy stranger?
Yeah, but on your birthday, you celebrate with the people that you want at the table.
Mm-hmm.
You barely know me.
Which is what I had. I had my wife, 4 kids, and brother, and you.
Yes, only your family and your brother and me.
Yeah, that's the new guy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The guy who helped me get on Curb.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, you really don't have to.
Eli's
invite
also was a writer on Curb, submitted many great ideas, the shofar bit that he did. What other big bits that people would know that you did?
Son of the doctor.
Son of the doctor.
Yeah.
He can't give out prescriptions.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
ridiculous. That's your idea.
Can't give medical advice. Yeah,
Unbelievable.
The shirt, Vince Vaughn's favorite, Freddie Funkhauser's favorite shirt.
Love that.
You know?
And I love Eli. And I fell in love the second I met him, not just as what you did for me, just because of who you are. You're just the best, funniest guy. So and you've become my best friend. No offense to Schiffer, my actual best friend.
Sorry, Schiff.
You are my best friend now here in LA. He's in New York. And I love you. And that's why I asked you to do this. So thank you. And it did work. I got on Curb. I did a few episodes and it was like the highlight of my career. This is the low light. All right, here we go, folks. This is very exciting, Robin. This is very exciting, Robin. But we have a very special guest today, Shai Davidai, who is just a warrior, a Jewish warrior. That's why the show is called Stars of David, because he is a champion of our people and a fighter of our civil rights. I can't believe we are still fighting for that, but we are. Shai Davidai is on the pod. Please welcome the one and only Shai Davidai. Shai, welcome. Thank you for being here. You're everywhere in a good way, fighting the good fight, fighting for our people and fighting for all people, right? And that's what I love about you, that you fight for everybody. But first and foremost, it's your Jewish students who are literally being blocked. We'll get to all that. And by the way, they wrote an intro. They wrote an intro about the professor of the and he's a this and a father and an Israeli and fierce Jewish civil rights advocate. We know you're an activist. You know what I love about you is that you don't want to be famous. And I want to start with that. It's so fascinating to me that because I see you as literally the Mordecai of our time. Like I've called Barry Weiss the Queen Esther, just saving the Jewish people. And you're Mordecai. And for for every 100 people that I speak to about you, 99 will say he's the best. He is out there putting himself, his job, his life on the line to speak out for us, to just get our civil rights. Let's let Jews walk through campus. Could you imagine that we're even at that point now where you have to fight for that? But so that's 99 out of 100 will say that about you. And then there'll be one putz who will say, well, he's a provocateur and he's looking for clicks and likes. And here's the thing that I want everyone to know, because this was a private conversation we had. I once said to you, what's it like? This newfound fame must be really weird. And you just said, I wish I could do all of my work with no one knowing my name, my face, my voice. If I could be as effective and powerful and just be the professor and dad and husband that I am, and no one would know me, that would be incredible. But I'm now seeing that the newfound fame is helping me get my message and do my work. But you have no interest in fame.
No interest whatsoever. And I'll tell you even more, like the people that say provocateur, I thought a lot about this word, about provoking. I'm not a provocateur for this reason only. When you try to provoke someone, you're trying to provoke a response so then you can get a gotcha moment. I don't want a response. What I'm trying to provoke is change, right? When I go in someone's face and with a camera and say like, hey, Cass Holloway, you are the COO of Columbia University. How are you allowing students and faculty to glorify the biggest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust? I'm not trying to get him to say like the wrong thing so then I can get 1 million views on Instagram or Twitter. No, that's not it. I'm trying for him to wait, take that moment and think about what I just said, and then realize that there's a right way and a wrong way, and he's choosing the wrong way. You know, if I could do all of this without cameras, without audio, I would.
Right. And the word provocateur, I think, applies more to those who, let's say, for example, on the anniversary of October 7th, when Jewish students are trying to mourn, the actual provocateurs are stopping them and chanting more death to the Jews just across campus. And that, to me, is are the provocateurs. You're the ones trying to stop them from the wrong that they're doing, because there's nothing right about what they're doing, especially on a day like that. But anyway, let me start with this. I want to start, we start every interview with something I call the 3 W's. Are you ready for this?
Let's go.
Okay, so this happened, it was a Shabbat dinner, and you're invited, open invite to you at my legendary Shabbat dinners. But we always have a few people over. This night we had 15 people. It was too many people because you can't have a conversation with 15 people. So there are little conversations that break out and nobody's really connecting and it's just weird. So I said, okay, I got to change this, this night and have it be more of a united Shabbat dinner table. And I literally thought of this stupid thing. It's a little game. And I said, hey guys, let's play a game. We'll go around the table and you guys answer the 3 W's. Okay. And here they are. It's what are you working on? What are you worried about? And what do you wish for? And everyone went around the table and it was fascinating. And it was really cool. People like Emmanuel Shrieky was at the table and she had amazing answers, and Ellie Zeiler and, other friends. So I'm going to start every podcast with, what are you working on? What are you worried about? And what do you wish for?
Whew. I am working on getting Columbia University and other U.S. institutions back on track to fulfill their mission. Their mission being education, their mission being treating all students equally, making all students included.
And safe.
And safe. I am worried that it's a much steeper uphill battle than I assumed it would be. And I am hoping for my name to be forgotten because I will solve this and go back to anonymity.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you right now, your name and you will never be forgotten. It really is incredible when you put yourself out there in that way. So I saw videos. I literally spent a day after the anniversary of October 7th watching you. I was emotionally spent after watching you, just watching you out there, literally fighting with the COO, not even fight, just getting him to say something, to do something. All the videos of people blocking your way of movement. You were not allowed to move on your campus that you work at. If I'm physically and emotionally exhausted watching it, what was that day like for you, that anniversary?
It was extremely difficult. I want to give you the backstory of everything because I worry so often that with social media, we get like the 3-minute clip and we're like, okay, this is what happened, but you don't really get the rich context. So the Jewish students at Columbia organized 2 memorial services for October 7th. One was this beautiful art installation. It's an immersive art installation where people can just walk through and see what happened on October 7th. And the other one was a memorial service. Then, like about 2 days before October 7th, we found out that the Hamas supporters on campus, the students and the faculty, were planning to protest the memorial service. And not only that, they were doing it together with Within Our Lifetime, which is a Hamas supporting hate group in New York City. And I just immediately said, this is not acceptable. And I want to mourn in peace. So we kind of forced the university to shut away the Within Our Lifetime crowd, so limiting that. And I organized a memorial service outside of campus. And about 300 people from the community, not affiliated with Columbia, showed up. It was a beautiful, sad, but also connecting communal event. And then so I had that event, and then I walk inside, like 100 yards to 200 yards into campus to the memorial service on campus. And that was the complete opposite. We had a beautiful service, but then right next to it, the university allowed them to celebrate October 7th massacre as we were mourning it. You had students there and faculty with signs saying, "Long live the Al-Aqsa flood," which is the name Hamas gave to that massacre. But you know what? That's freedom of speech. And I'm okay. I always say, you are free to be an asshole, and I am free to call you out. That is freedom of speech. But then they did something that was, in a way, the university did not expect, but obviously anyone who's been paying attention for a year should expect it. They started marching on campus. They walked around the memorial service, purposefully walked around the memorial service, and then planted themselves in front of the art installation and chanted there against the Jewish students who were holding this beautiful art installation. And I said, it was clear that we were doing this to show the university who's boss, that the Hamas supporters are the boss, and two, to intimidate the Jewish students, faculty, and staff. And I said, I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm not. That's not who I am. So I just stood in the way. I didn't walk into the protests. I would never do that. But I stood where I was allowed to stand as they were coming at me. And I was singing Hatikva. And, I was being elbowed. I was being kicked in the shins. But I just stood there. And I did not care about the haters. I cared about the public safety officials, the chief operating officer of Columbia, the university senate delegates, the professors who are all there looking at what's happening and would not do anything and just allowed it to happen. For me, that is way more dangerous than the Hamas supporters, because the Hamas supporters will die down when Israel will eliminate Hamas, and Israel will eliminate Hamas. They'll eliminate Hezbollah. It's going to take a year. It's going to take 5 years or 10 years. Terrorist organizations never outlive their victims. But the supporters of the supporters, right? The administration, they will still be there. And that is something that I just cannot live with or even understand.
And is it, when you said, though, it's free speech, because I don't even take it that far. I think you're too kind and giving to them, because it is hate speech. When you're calling to globalize the Intifada, that's a call for terror, and that's a death threat. So why is that free speech?
Well, look, I don't make the rules. And Americans, and I've been saying this a lot, and some Americans agree, and a lot of them feel a bit weird, but I hope it at least gets them thinking. Americans don't believe in free speech. Americans fetishize free speech. If you're a liberal in the United States, and you want to understand why conservatives fetishize the Second Amendment, think about how you fetishize the First Amendment. It's not a belief. I've talked with so many Americans who told me, if we limit free speech, we won't have a democracy. And I tell them, guess what? Every Western democracy has some limits on free speech, and they are healthy democracies. So you're just the extreme. You're not the only way to do this. But it is free speech. Legally, it is. My concern with what's happening in U.S. campuses and U.S. high schools in New York City and Los Angeles, in the streets of this country, is not about freedom of speech. It's about the equality aspect, the double standards. Because we know that if students were chanting for suicide bombings of African-American churches, or if they were chanting for suicide bombings in gay pride parade, if they were chanting for suicide bombings of immigrant centers,
they'd be kicked
the
off
university
campus.
would have shut it down immediately. They would have found ways to fire tenured professors. They wouldn't suspend students. They would expel them. They would strip them off their student visas, and they would be on a plane that very next day to their home country. But when it comes to calling for suicide bombings of Jews,
it's crazy.
all of a sudden the university is free speech. So I say it's okay that it's free speech, but you are not treating Jews equally. So you are also violating our rights.
Right. And you mentioned fired, even tenured professors. Aren't you at a risk? Aren't you afraid of being let go?
Yeah, they they are always trying to do something with me. And let me tell you the most ironic thing. On October 7th, when I was on campus sh- showing the world how Columbia is allowing students and professors to celebrate the massacre of Jews, taking videos of public safety officials and the COO. Do you know what the first thing that Columbia administrators did that day?
Mm-mm.
They called my lawyers, telling them that they will reinstate the barring of my ID from campus. They focus their attention or getting me off of campus rather than getting the Hamas supporters off of
Wow.
campus. So clearly, and I don't take it personally, because it's not about who I am. It's about the university seeing a problem and saying, we can't solve the problem. Let's get rid of the person pointing to the problem. To me, it's the tyranny of incompetence. We have incompetent leaders who have almost unchecked powers, and their incompetence just is tyrannical.
And when you say you don't take it personally, you're so right. I tell that to my fellow Jews. I go, guys, don't take all this so personally. Why? Of course, it's a lot of anti Semitism. Of course, that's a major factor in it. But don't forget, they're also chanting death to America. This isn't just about you and me, okay? This is about a bigger movement that's against everything from, capitalism to Western civilization. Stop making it about us. It's not all about us. It's about us, but it's not all about us. Don't take it so personally. And of course, this isn't about you, Shai the guy. It's about what you represent, and of course, it has nothing to do with you personally. Okay, let's get a little lighter for a second. This is getting very. We're trying to almost do a sort of a comedy show. I have my
I
yeah.
have to tell you, something. My dear friend Eitan Chitayit, I don't know if we're filming this, but I'm wearing his
I
shirt. But
love Eitan, another beautiful advocate for our people, another warrior like you. I am that Jew. That video went viral a few years ago, before all this. I don't know if people know this,
Yeah,
but anti-Semitism has been around for a bit. Didn't
been
just
around for a while.
Yeah, it didn't just start recently. But
And I
tell us
can.
about that T-shirt and about Eitan.
So Eitan makes this T-shirt. I'm that Jew. He's all about Jewish pride, being openly, publicly Jewish. And we were hanging out in Israel over the summer, and he says, people don't realize that you're actually kind of goofy. And I said, yeah, because all people see me as is the person fighting anti-Semitism, fighting support for terrorism on U.S. campuses. I'm also the goofy dad and
Yeah.
friend, and
You're also
so
funny. And guess what? People don't know this about you. When we hung
they
out,
know I'm funny looking.
no,
They know
no,
I'm
the
funny
day
looking,
I did
but,
your podcast, you kept saying funny things, but not just funny things like everybody said, like smart, clever, like observations and quick one-liners. And I went, wait, you're like professionally funny. And you said, well, I did do stand-up for a little bit. Give us a minute on that. What was that like? And why'd you end it?
So I, going into my 40th birthday, was going through a midlife crisis, as one does. Being a bleeding heart liberal, I wasn't about to buy a convertible and leave my wife for a young chick. I decided to do a workshop, like take a workshop on stand-up, something I've always wanted to do. And the guy we took this workshop with, the guy says, okay, your homework is to go and bomb. And I was like, what do you mean? I don't have any material. And he said, if you can bomb, then you can succeed. So I was like, I went and I bombed. And I ended up having like 7 minutes of type, type 5, type 7. But it was very dark. It was it was about anti-Semitism. It was about my grandmother passing away from cancer. It
Wow.
was about really, really dark stuff. And I would go out every night, do open mic nights in New York City. And then I felt like, I don't want to be that person.
Really?
I don't want to be that person.
You don't want to be me?
Who is no, because you're not dark. You're light.
Right.
I don't want to be the person who is dark and is like okay, like finds the light in the darkness, but then people are like, can I laugh about that?
Right. But the best
I wanna
comedy comes
dispel
from a
the
dark
darkness.
place. The best comedy, Richard Pryor to Bill Burr, the best comedy is from darkness. You could have been
Ye-
better and bigger than me, even.
I gotta tell you, my all-time favorites are Robin Williams.
Yep.
Uh,
Oliver Shalom.
he's just
Beyond. He's
the most
beyond genius. He's
incredible.
beyond. Yeah.
Uh,
Every fiber of his being was
Jim
talent.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. And if the third one should be, if you're talking about talent, because these are three of the most talented humans ever to grace comedy. And it is
Elon Gold.
No. Seriously, the third is Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx, and tied with
Yes.
Eddie Murphy. There is no one more talented than Eddie Murphy. And it's so funny you talk about dark, because Eddie's comedy always came from a light place, and it was never dark, And then guys like, Chappelle and Rock, they're not dark, but they're dead serious about their comedy. Whereas Eddie was always just fun, Eddie, and doing impressions and everything. So it's so interesting that you say that, but you just named the most talented people.
But my third is who I consider the late and great Mitch Hedberg.
Yes.
Because it's always been for me like you can laugh about everything, but you have to make it funny.
Right.
And I felt like I was looking for the darkest things to make them funny.
Right.
And that's not how you go. You look for the funny things and then you build the darkness around it.
Right.
And I didn't want to deal with just like, where's something dark that I can make light of? That's not what I wanted.
But not only you have to make it funny, you have to have a point, and you have to be on the right side of things. You have to be on the right side of things, and you have to be a truth teller. That's why I took issue with my old friend Dave Chappelle, who did the Space Jews bit. Now, when he was on SNL, he was, doing the stereotypes about Jews run Hollywood, but he was also dispelling stereotypes at the same time and saying, of course Jews don't. You have to be, he said the word delusional. You have to be delusional to think that Jews actually control it in some like cabal. He goes, but are there a lot of Jews? And yeah. Oh, sorry, we started it. So he was dispelling and reinforcing stereotypes at the same time in that SNL monologue. It's debatable whether or not that's anti-Semitic. I think his heart is not anti-Semitic. And I know, some of his best friends or some of my best friends, like comedian Jeff Ross. And, just because you have Jewish friends doesn't mean you don't feel a certain way. But he's a lover of the Jewish people. But when it comes to Israel, like his bit about space Jews was so inflammatory and wrong. And that was my problem with that. Dave is such a truth teller. And now he's basically just feeding the false narrative that we are the conquerors and the colonizers. No, we decolonized from the British colonizers, and all the stuff he was saying, and that we then treated the Palestinians worse than we were ever treated. It's like, what are you talking about? Israeli society just wants peace and love and coexistence with the Palestinians for the most part. And certainly the government's mandate is in this war, avoid civilian casualties. And sadly, in every war, there is collateral damage. But that's the truth. Not that we want to subjugate them, we want to oppress them. I have a joke. I go, Jews are not in the oppression business. There's no money in it. But seriously, it's like he fed the false narrative. So there was no truth. So there was no comedy.
But I'll take it a step farther, and I'll say, in the past, let's say decade or two, there's been a lot of conversation about, it's making fun of Jews punching up or punching down. Right? Because we're okay with punching up, we're not okay with punching down. And I understand the logic of it all. There's a power hierarchy, even though for some reason Jews have been misplaced at the top, which history shows we're not. But here's my take. Why punch at all? There's so many things that are funny about Jews. There's so many things that are funny about Israelis. There's so many things that are funny about every group that don't require punching.
Nice.
Right? You look at us. We're funny people. We're
right.
What kind of I've never seen any other people that put out a book of jokes about the worst tragedy in the world. That is a fucking hilarious thing to do. There are multiple books about comedy during the Holocaust.
Right.
Right? We are funny people. You can make fun of that. There's no need to punch.
Correct.
Right? And it doesn't matter
There
if
is
you're
no
punching
need to
up or
punch.
down.
Yeah, and I love that point. And also, I always say, because I talk a lot about being Jewish, because I live a Jewish experience and a modern Orthodox, so I'm observant. I keep Shabbat, so everything when I do my comedy, it's from my perspective of this very, very Jewy guy. And people go, well, do you like making fun of Jews? I go, I never make fun of Jews. If anything, I poke fun at everything from our customs, rituals to idiosyncrasies. I poke fun. The difference between poking fun and making fun is you make fun as an outsider and you're just sort of like bullying and mocking what you're not a part of. But you poke fun from the inside as someone who loves your people and is a proud Jew. I could still poke fun at some of our rituals and holidays and fast days, which I think we have 4 too many. But 4, literally, we have 5 fast days. I think 1 would be like the Big Kippur would be enough.
Which one? Yom Kippur?
It's the best day. I used to hate and dread Yom Kippur, fasting and all, but I love it now.
Is this you going on record that you don't care about the destruction of the Second Temple?
Hilarious.
I just want this to
hilarious. So I observe Tisha B'Av and I fast every year. Those are my only 2 steadfast fasts because I do observe that. And we always need to be reminded of our history because our history is our present and our future. So yes, no, but I would prefer, and not even 0 fast days. Give me the 1. Because that day, to not nourish your body, but nourish your soul, is the most beautiful day of the year. I went from dreading to I love Yom Kippur, the day where you get to just connect with God, where you get to do everything from apologize to show your love. What? Okay. Well,
Can I tell you about Yom Kippur in Israel?
Yes.
No. This is
okay.
Yom Kippur in Israel, in where I grew up, is the day everyone looks forward to when you're in high school, because the entire 3 different high schools and middle schools, we all came to the same center of town. Everyone's wearing white shirts, blue jeans, and they just hang out. Right? This was before cell phones, so you don't even know if people will show up. You just walk, and people start walking with you. Even though I didn't fast, and in my family, they watched TV on that day. There was still something special on that day because it was a communal day. You literally left the house to be with everyone else.
Right.
And it was beautiful.
I love that.
Beautiful day.
So we end with the 4 questions, but before we do that, I just, you have a podcast, I have a little podcast, and my podcast title, Stars of David, I think right on point. You are one of the great stars of David. Your podcast name, Here I Am, with Shai Davidai. When you have the name Shai, how do you not use Shai? And I've written down a few examples of what would have been better titles for a Shai podcast. Okay. First of all, Don't Be Shy. With Shai Davidai. I have more. Go ahead.
When I was in 3rd grade, I ran for class president, and it was Don't Be Shy, vote for Shai. I did not win, so let's cross that one off.
Okay, how about this? Once bitten, twice shy. Oh, how about this? Wait a minute. How about this? Shayenu. Enough with all the stuff you're doing on college campuses. Shayenu.
You can also sue Davidai.
Yeah, Shai Davidai.
Oh, well, Eli Leonard is here, my co-host here.
Dayenu with all the campus stuff. It's enough already.
Right.
It truly is.
So Shai Davidai. Do you have any other suggestions for?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Shylock. Because of because you're a Jew.
I should tell you this.
And your name is Shai.
This is the problem.
Yeah.
The problem with my name is, or maybe not problem, I've been getting these anti-Semitic emails ever since I started talking. Speaking of.
Yeah.
But listen,
By the way, I am so sorry about those.
Eli's been sending all of them. But go ahead. Yeah.
It was from a California email. And the sad thing is all of my colleagues in the business school at Columbia have been CC'd. No one said a word. No one replied all. No one replied personally. Forget that. But the person, the anti-Semite, realized that my name worked with all of it. So every email is like, Dear Shylock, Dear Shyster.
Oh,
and it's just
wow. Dear Shyster.
They work so well.
It works so well.
My name works.
Dear Shyster is a good one.
Dear Shyster. That's a good podcast title.
Yeah.
Dear Abby. Dear Shyster.
Yeah.
Do you have any more, Eli?
Yeah, I do.
What else do you have? These are What is this called? What is this segment called? Oh, better titles for your podcast. That's what we're calling this segment.
Yeah, better names.
What if we do
Better names.
What would we do one together and we call it Shai Loves Gold?
Ooh, I don't like that.
That's pretty good, though.
Okay, we're going to end, and you've been amazing, and you are amazing, with just a quick, the 4 questions. You familiar with that term, the 4 questions? You know, for the Passover Seder, the 4 questions. Here we go. Are you ready? Who
Let's go.
inspires you?
My late grandfather.
Why? This is not one of the questions, but why?
When I was 11, he passed away, and I have never seen so many people at a funeral before. And I realized he was just a person that touched people, and people came out of the woodworks just to pay him respect.
Unbelievable.
It
But
was
how is he
impactful
so
mental
impactful to so many people?
He would help. He would give money even when he didn't have. He was secular, but had a yarmulke in his pocket every time if someone needed a minyan. Everyone knew him. Everyone that needed something.
That's beautiful. That's so nice. And by the way, it pains me to know that he only got that honor that he deserved after death when he couldn't see that. I hate when people honor, someone after. It's like honor them, let them know during.
He didn't need to. That's
okay. That's
okay.
He's
the sign
like
of a
you.
good
He's
person.
like you. He didn't need it, but I'm just saying he would have enjoyed it. A little love while he was
That's
alive, and a little recognition for the lives that he touched. You know, it's like my parents who are coming on next. My parents are giving us the Yiddish word of the day, Elon Gold, and they are about to celebrate their 60th anniversary, which is unbelievable. And we're going to throw a big party for them. And I want to give speeches about them to them. I don't want to eulogize them after they're gone at 120. I want them to listen to how we feel about them. So
you should tell them, I want to throw you a funeral.
Correct. That was a great
For
Herb
60th.
episode. Question number 2. What are you most proud of?
My children and my podcast.
Amazing. I know why. I know why the answer to both of those, because I have children and now a podcast, so I understand. I feel you. What is the least favorite thing about Shai?
I can be annoying as fuck.
You?
I think I am annoying.
You,
I
the
am
guy
anno-
that
I'm a
yells
middle-
at people on campus all day. Yeah.
I am a middle child.
Oh, me too.
People write on Twitter, why are you so annoying? And I was, why is Shai Davidai so annoying? And then I reply, Shai Davidai is so annoying because he's the middle child.
Wow.
I'm annoying. And I don't care what people think about me.
Yeah.
So it makes me very impactful.
Yeah.
But also, it's annoying. I understand it.
Guess what? I think everyone's a little annoying. Everyone. You
Yeah, but I've
mentioned,
perfected it.
speaking of annoying, Eli Leonard, do you have a 4th and final question for our guests?
You want me to do it?
Yeah, why don't you do the 4th question? You're like the youngest one here. You're like the baby. Do the Manish Tana for us.
Okay. What's your favorite type of couch?
Oh my God. Couch?
Yeah,
There are types of couches?
Yeah, you got the
Pull out.
the Chesterfield,
Right.
and you've
Pull
got
out couch.
You got pullouts.
Right. What other kind of couch?
I mean, what do you look for in a couch?
That's your 4th
Is it
question.
Is
You
it
have
function
one of
or
the
is it
great
function or is it
warriors.
fit?
I'm gonna validate the worst stereotype about our people.
Go ahead.
The thing I look
That's
at
Eli,
at a
by
couch
the way.
most-
He's a walking validation about the worst stereotypes of our people. Yes, go ahead.
What I look at in a couch is price.
Okay.
Half my living room is IKEA because I don't give a fuck. Like
Right.
A couch is for sitting and
Okay.
lying down. A table is for eating. A car is for moving. What matters is what's inside. That was very rabbinical and Talmudic.
I
of me,
love that.
But yeah,
I love that. And by the way, it
Yes.
reminded me of a joke that I had. And again, some of my jokes hit home and make the point, and make the case for Israel. Like, for example, when I talk about the UN partition plan, where, the League of Nations, the world said, okay, we're going to partition this land, right? We're going to give half to the Jews and half to the Arabs, right? And the Arabs said no and literally went to war. But before that, what did the Jews say? Yes, of course, because we like anything half off. But anyway, the point is, The point is, a lot of my comedy is doing things like dispelling stereotypes. One of my most proud moments was going on the James Corden show and doing my bit, you could Google it, about sex, money, and food, where I say, what do you think? We all, Jews are just like everybody else. We all have the three basic human needs: sex, money, and food. Jews, we just want them in a different order. And I said, for you guys, number one, sex, money, and food in that order. For us, number one. And I take the mic and I go like this to the audience. The entire studio audience, 200 people, yell, money. And I'm like,
wow.
Yeah. And I go, no, wrong. And how dare you? And you could watch the bit, but then I talk about how it's food. Food is our number one. You ask any.
Of course it's food.
Of course it's food. If you ask any Jew if they would rather have a hot brisket sandwich or the cash value of a hot brisket sandwich, they would take the cash and buy a hot brisket sandwich at a cheaper place and keep the profits. That's how we do it. But the point is, that's jokes that, again, leans into a stereotype, but then will dispel it. Because I'm all about, dispelling stereotypes and speaking truth and being proud. Thank you.
Elon, can I tell you?
Go ahead.
Can I just tell you before we finish how the first time I saw one of your skits?
Oh yeah, I would love to hear. Is this about me? I would love to hear this.
You have that incredible bit about why Jews can't have a Christmas tree, right? Do you come home, you bring it with your left foot or your right foot?
Do you make a bracha
Amazing.
before you enter? Do you string the lights left to right to left? Yeah.
I first saw that. I was introduced to you by Israeli friends from Jerusalem, and they are Arab Christians.
Love that.
And they said, you have to look at this guy.
I love
because
that.
Your comedy, that bit was able to make both the Israeli Arab Christians and the Israeli Jews sit together and watch something. And I thought, that is pure gold.
That warms my heart and makes me think, should I be the prime minister of Israel? I think I could bring
Truly
the peace between all of the people.
Well, I don't know about that. You do better.
I would do better.
You do better than what's going.
Fine. But all I know is I think that I might be Mashiach at this point. I'm not sure. Shai, you are the man, and you are so beloved because you put yourself out there in a way that most of us are afraid to, and you do it out of love. You do it with such passion for our people and for the truth and for what's right. And it's crazy that we're living in a world where you even have to fight for Jewish civil rights. But you're at the forefront. We thank you. We love you. And thank you for coming on our little dumb podcast.
Thank you for holding this dumb podcast. We need every time. And after people listen to this, they should go listen. If we want to get something serious and not dumb and cry a little bit,
They should listen to the Mile Shai Club.
They should listen to they listen to my first and then to yours or maybe yours is an amuse bush. I don't know.
I love you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Yiddish word of the day, featuring my parents, Sid and Lynn Gold. Mom, Dad, how are you?
We're good. How are you?
This is the bane of my only issue with you two. You're perfect parents. I love you more than words can express. But my one issue, and I will take issue with this, is that you both spoke Yiddish to each other and didn't teach it to your children. You used it against us. And now this is my revenge, that you will now teach the world a Yiddish word of the day, because you would use it to talk about us instead of teaching this beautiful, ancient, almost dead language, thanks to people like you guys.
No, my goal is to preserve the Yiddish language, not
Yes.
Correct.
And he's going to surprise you.
Oh, I can't wait to be surprised.
bonus.
Hey, here's an idea of how to preserve a language. Teach it. Here's an idea of how to teach it to your children. Okay?
You know what?
What?
I bet you know more Yiddish than you think you know.
But listen,
Now,
here
let's
is
go
the
on
Yiddish.
to
What
the
is the Yiddish
Yiddish
word of the day?
Okay, the Yiddish word for the day is glicklich.
Ooh, I never heard that one. Glicklich.
Well, glicklich, should I translate?
Please.
Glicklich means lucky or happy, and there's a song that explains what glicklich is.
Now, you're not going to sing that song for us, are you?
Oh, yeah.
I
just
will,
say
so
bars.
why not?
Go ahead.
The world deserves to sing this song with
Yes.
the word
The world
glicklich.
needs 8 bars of Sid Gold.
Right.
Go ahead.
A bissel Sinn, a bissel Regen, a bi dem Kopf, a wegzulegen, a bi gesinnt, kann man glücklich sein.
Wow,
Oh.
that was amazing. That was actually beautiful.
great.
Hey, what does glücklich mean again?
They're lucky. Well, I'm very glücklich to have
Glücklich.
4 grandchildren that are beautiful.
And I'm
that's-
glad to have a husband like
Oh,
this.
that
And I'm
is-
glücklich to have a wife.
Oh
Like
my
this.
God. This is beautiful. Glücklich is, I'm not kidding, that is the perfect word that people don't know because everyone knows schlepp and stup, but they don't know glücklich. Oh, sorry.
Ooh.
I'm sorry. Am I introducing you
That's
to a new term?
schmutzig. That's schmutzig.
That's schmutzy. That's too
That's
schmutzig.
schmutzig.
That's schmutzig.
Yiddish is a very refined language. I want you to know.
Yeah,
Most of the time.
Putz, schmuck, stup, very refined. But really, I'm serious. Glücklich was the perfect choice. So thank you. We'll catch you
Your
on the
name.
next episode.
And you too.
Thank you. Love you guys. See you next time. Bye, folks.
Shalom Aleichem.
Yes.
Aleichem shalom.
Beautiful. And we are back with, well, what have we learned? What have we learned, Eli?
Well, I learned glücklich.
Glücklich is a
I
word
learned glücklich and 8 bars of Yiddish
of a song. Right.
Yeah.
What does glücklich mean again?
Luck.
Luck.
Good luck. Good
Okay.
luck charm.
That's good.
My lucky charm.
We should have luck with this show.
Yeah, I would.
That it should be shared and people should enjoy it and love it.
Yeah, unfortunately, for you, I'm involved, and that does not bode well
Right.
for it.
So this is like your new job?
This is, yeah. I mean, I'm sort of your
You know what I want to say to you?
what?
Mazel tov.
Okay.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you, Shai. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you, Eli. And we need a fun, cool sign off. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, no, we do. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem. Thank you, Eli.
You're welcome.
So, Stars of David with me, Elon Gold, is a production of Unpacked, a division of Open Door Media. Subscribe to Stars of David wherever you're listening to this podcast, and full episodes are available to watch on YouTube. And also, most of all, be in touch. Talk to us. Write to us at starsofdavid@JewishUnpacked.com. That's where you could leave your voice note kvetches.
Kvetch to
the,
us.
the CNA. We will answer.
That every complaint will be answered, and that is a promise. I promise you.
Be'ezrat Hashem.
Ezrat Hashem.
God willing.
God willing.
Right. You can't make promises.
Right. I mean, I'm not really even in charge of this podcast, but
Right. Well, you know who's in charge.
Baruch Hashem.
We'll see you next time.
Yad Yantiv.